This video will take us from the top of St Giles Street into Upper St Giles and then into Cow Hill and back along Willow Lane. All except two of the historic photos are from the 1930s. This is from 1967 and this is the 2023 equivalent. This is Churchman House, now with a Bethel Street address but previously number 68 St Giles Street. Originally dating from 1724, it became the first site of the Norwich High School for Girls and was later used as the city's health department and registrar. Next to Churchman House is Cleveland Road, built in the 1970s and replacing number 70 with the edge of Churchman House on the extreme left, and next to it number 72, which had been Walter Kett Removal Contractors in 1936. As long ago as at least 1650 this had been the Black Swan pub, but I have no information about when it might have closed. In 1900 it was the home of a dentist. Number 76 was Beeston's Pharmacy in 1936 and the building looks very similar today. Number 82 had been a fishmonger in 1900, a tobacconist in 1936, and on the day I took this photo, Lord's Mediterranean Seafood Restaurant was opening. In the background was Guns, a naturalist, and in the foreground was Sturgeon's Butchers, compared to the 2023 view. Number 90 was the Queen's Head pub from at least 1760 until it closed in 1982. Number 94 was used in the early 20th century as Norwich High School for Boys. George Plunkett describes it as the former man's mansion house, but I don't know what that might mean. It's now the last building on this side of the street, but before the widening of Grapes Hill the last building was the St Giles Gate Stores until 1964. This is the 2023 equivalent view. This building housed a chemist, a fruit shop and a draper's in the 1930s, and you can just see the original entrance to Grapes Hill in the distance. This building was demolished to allow the development of Grapes Hill as part of the Inner Link Road. So this is now the current final building on the northern side. The name above the door is Taylor, and in 1900 the building was occupied by Taylor's Surgical Mechanicians, so there may be a connection. This is number 91, dating from 1738, and very little has changed by 2023. These are numbers 77 and 79, in the foreground number 79 being occupied by another Mr Taylor, this time selling fish, poultry and game. This general view looks west on a February night in 1935, still very recognisable in late spring 2023. Looking from St Giles Churchyard, this was the view of numbers 2 and 3 Cow Hill, with just, it seems, the gravestones having disappeared by 2023. These were numbers 8 to 11 Cow Hill, the only building remaining being the community hall on the extreme right of the photo. That hall, now on the left of this photo, was the original location of the Red Cow pub, which gave the street its name and closed in 1908. The building to the right was called Cow Hill House and it spanned Cow Yard. The next building down the hill is Holcombe House, dating from the mid-18th century, which has in its time been used both for residential and office purposes. And finally on this side of Cow Hill is number 18, the bicycle having been replaced by cars. Walking back up Cow Hill towards Willow Lane, this was the view of St Giles Church Tower in 1934, and it seems nothing has changed in 2023. Turning around and looking back down the hill, there have been some changes on the right hand side from this colour photo of 1939 to the equivalent view of 2023. Behind these buildings is George Borrow's house. For more information about him, see the Lost Norwich video, Why is Norwich a Fine City? This is number 18 Willow Lane, the back of which we saw when looking up at St Giles Church Tower. On the other side of the street, these are numbers 11 to 13, and this is number 9. Willow Lane is named after willow trees which were once on the south side of the street, with the city's mayor being responsible for checking them. This building was originally a Catholic chapel, converted into a school in 1896 and renovated in the 20th century. It closed as a school in 1968 and is now a solicitor's office. Finally, this is number 1, Willow Lane, the last stop on this tour of a part of the city that has changed very little.